Good morning, friends. Welcome to London again. I swear I do go other places, but for the second video in a row, I'm visiting London. I've managed to grab a bit of time in between my busy life of work and family commitments and all those sorts of things. And I don't live in London, so it's a couple of hours drive down here, plus a bit of time on the underground. And the reason I've come down is I wanted to go through a few of the spots that I usually go to as a street photographer that only sometimes comes to London. Now, I watched a video at the start of last year. I was coming down for the London Marathon to pick my number up and stuff, and a really good street photographer, Sam, made a video going through some of his street photography spots, and it really helped me. I brought down my little GR3X and went around some of the spots and took some of the shots that he did, and it really helped me out. And in many respects, it made me get back into street photography and show me around London. So I wanted to do the same as someone that just comes down here every so often, and it is a bit of a trek down here. Now, there's nothing special about these street photography spots. They probably can be considered the pumpkin spice of London street photography spots. But the reason I've chosen these ones is because I only come down here every so often, so I like to really take advantage and almost guarantee myself some interesting shots. They're all within a good space of each other, all definitely walkable, all very accessible. So let's start going through them now. This first spot of which isn't really a spot at all, it's the London Underground. You'll see it on most street photography blogs and articles and stuff tucked away at the bottom as a bit of an afterthought, when in reality it's probably going to be the first interaction that you'll have with London as a whole. And it's a fantastic resource for a street photographer. Always full of interesting people on a day like today with great light, always good of great architecture, nice shadows, and I've already got a couple of shots just walking down here. And I guess there's a philosophical stance here. I'm certainly guilty of going to street photography spots, just travelling between the two, standing there looking around and saying, what do I take a photo of now? When in reality, going between the two things or paying attention when you're on your journey can get you some really nice shots in the first instance. So my first spot and my first port of call with any journey into London is the London Underground. So my first actual stop is usually the Barbican. It's better earlier on in the day and then later on in the evening when the light gets low and draws out the shadows and you get some really nice contrast and stuff. It's a bit of a mecca for street photographers. Obviously be mindful and be considerate because people do live here. And also bear in mind there's also a school in the Barbican. So considerations all round. One other thing to consider also is the Barbican Underground station is not the most accessible. So if you need step-free access or anything like that, then you're probably best off getting the Underground to Bank and then walking back up. But the Barbican gives us a good starting point, usually gets me a few warm-up shots in if nothing else, and it's a good place to walk to the rest of the spots that I usually enjoy taking street photography of. So yeah, the Barbican's always a good first stop for me. So I've taken the very short walk down to Bank, and most people will just come straight here, and rightly so. The Bank of England's, iconic. Architecture's great, there's nearly always perfect light, and you're always guaranteed to find loads of people about, especially first thing in the morning like I am. But stray a bit further out to the sides, down one of the little side streets, through one of the little centres, you're going to find little pools of light, some fantastic architecture hidden away, and some real gems when you just stray just a little bit further away from just the iconic things. But you can't go wrong heading over to Bank. It doesn't take very much effort to find a few spots at least a little bit off the beaten track. Like I said before, you can go to all of the street photography spots that you want to go to, but finding those little bits in between on the journey between those spots will benefit you much more, and you'll be able to find something unique. Don't take the shots that everybody else takes. I've been to places and done all those sorts of things, and it's great to start off with, but photography is all about expressing yourself. Whatever genre of street photography or photography in general you're into, find those little bits down those side streets and really express yourself. I found this spot with my son a few weeks ago, and there's a bar down there, believe it or not, like underneath the street. So yeah, fantastic London is for street photography and just weirdness in general. I don't think I've ever come to London shooting street photography and not come to one new change and not come away with a shot that I'm relatively happy with, and for good reason. There's some really nice angles, there's loads of reflections, you've got the backdrop of St Paul's that you can shoot against, and one of my favourite ones is just over the balcony there. You can shoot down onto the spiral staircase, and in good lighting like today, get some really good nice shadows that people can walk in and out of. Shout out to Sam that pointed this shot out to me, got me straight back into street photography. So one new change, definitely worth visiting, just down the road from Bank. Weird pro tip while you're visiting one new change as well. One of the very few places in London that you can just go to the toilet without having to fake go into Mackey's or Wetherspoons or something like that. Good choice. Second tip as well is, if you do struggle with mobility issues and you can't get straight to Barbican, you can always go Bank down to one new change. And if you come out of the main way that goes to St Paul this way and turn right, you can then walk straight down to the Barbican there, and then there's ramps and stuff to get into the Barbican Centre from there. So just thought I'd point that out. I'm beating a bit of a strange path over to the Southbank. Obviously it's North London forever, but when it comes to street photography you can't go wrong with the Southbank. One thing I usually pay particular attention to is staircases, because you can get some really nice contrast against a plain sky or a nice background like Tower Bridge. So I like to come down the river where you've got lots of nice staircases up to bridges and buildings and stuff like that. When you come down the Southbank, always check out the Tate Modern, completely free to enter. They just have a look in your camera bag if you bring one with you. There's quite a lot of good architecture and stuff in there. You don't have to go in and see the gallery. There's quite a famous staircase in there, and some brutalist architecture which is quite common with street photographers. I've managed to get a couple in there before, but not very many. But yeah, it's definitely worth checking out, especially on a day like today when you can get some nice light coming through the big windows. One of my favourite places to try and shoot when I'm down here is I believe it's the Millennium Bridge outside the Tate Modern from St Paul's. You can get some really nice contrast against the sky of people and some real individual takes. I always like this little area before you get to Blackfriars Bridge as well. There's always some interesting characters down here, as well as a few geese. You can always grab a coffee if you want to as well. So down on the Southbank you've got the National Theatre that I'm sat in right now. You've got the Southbank Centre. You've got all sorts of interesting bits and pieces that have all got great architecture. Get some really nice shadows, especially in the Southbank Centre, to get those sort of fine art street photography shots if you want to. But to me the Southbank's all about the people. There's some interesting characters you see down there, tourists, people from all over the world. You've got a big bunch of skateboarders underneath the Southbank Centre as well, so there's plenty to look at and plenty to do. By this point in my day I'm usually completely beat. I'm at least ready for a coffee and something to eat, but I think for the rest of today I'm just going to chill out, have a walk further down the Southbank and take some shots. It doesn't mix very well with trying to capture everything for the video, so I'm going to leave it here. But that gives you 5-6 different spots that I usually go to when I'm visiting London to take my street photography. Shout out to Covent Garden, King's Cross, Leicester Square. There is some other bits and pieces, but this is usually where I start because I can't go far wrong. And I'm hoping in the near future to expand my street photography horizons in London. So if anybody's got any great spots that I can check out, a lot of people have pointed me towards like Waterloo and places like that, so if you've got any other spots you want to check out then please let me know. But until next time, and I think of a new video idea, I'm going to carry on taking some shots.